The shape of betrayal. The rain fell in sheets, blurring the edges of Boston's cityscape as Ethan stared through the taxi window. 6 months away on the West Coast project had stretched him thin, but today none of that mattered. He was finally home to Ava. Their nightly video calls had sustained him through the separation. Just yesterday, she'd whispered how she couldn't wait to feel his arms around her again. Her smile, that particular curve of her lips that only happened when she looked at him, had been his North Star. Ethan paid the driver and stepped into the downpour, his overnight bag slung over his shoulder. The rest would arrive tomorrow. He couldn't wait another day to see her. He used his key, still damp from the rain, to unlock the apartment door. The familiar scent of sandalwood and vanilla enveloped him. Ava's signature candles. Home. "Ava," he called out, dropping his bag by the door. A crash from the bedroom. Muffled voices. His heart stuttered. Something primal and knowing twisted in his gut before his mind could catch up. Ethan moved toward the bedroom as if pulled by an invisible thread. The door was ajar, spilling warm light into the hallway. Soft music played, the playlist he'd made for her before he left. He pushed the door open, time fractured. Ava, her dark hair cascading down her bare back, straddling a man Ethan had never seen before, her head thrown back in ecstasy, completely unaware of his presence. The stranger noticed him first. Their eyes locked for one excruciating second before chaos erupted. "Ethan!" Ava scrambled off the bed, clutching sheets to her naked body. You said tomorrow?" "Surprise," Ethan whispered, the word falling like glass between them. The man, tall, with the build of someone who frequented gyms, gathered his clothes with practiced efficiency. Not his first escape, Ethan realized distantly. "I should go," the stranger muttered, slipping past Ethan without meeting his eyes. Ava stood trembling, tears already streaming down her face. "I can explain." "Can you?" Ethan's voice sounded foreign to his own ears, hollow, distant. "It just happened," she pleaded. "It didn't mean anything." Ethan's gaze drifted to the bedside table, a half-empty bottle of wine, 2 glasses. The scene looked rehearsed, comfortable. "How long?" he asked. Her hesitation told him everything. 3 months, she finally whispered, half their separation. Ethan nodded, something cold and hard crystallizing in his chest. "Just him?" Her eyes darted away. "Ethan, please, tell me." The truth spilled out in fragments. Daniel, the neighbor from 4B, her statistics professor, a colleague from the marketing firm, a bartender whose name she couldn't even remember. Each confession drove the knife deeper, twisting it with surgical precision, all while they'd shared "I love yous" across time zones, while he'd been counting days until their reunion. "Why?" he asked when she finally fell silent. "I was lonely." Her voice cracked. "You were gone, and I need more than pixels on a screen." Something snapped inside him. "And I didn't? You think I wasn't lonely too?" She reached for him. He recoiled. "Don't," he warned, stepping back. "Don't touch me." "Ethan, please, we can fix this." Desperation edged her voice. It was just physical. It never meant anything. The plea hung between them, pathetic, inadequate. He turned and walked out, deaf to her calls. The motel room walls were stained with decades of other people's miseries. Ethan lay on the sagging mattress, staring at the ceiling fan that rotated with a persistent click, click, click. His phone buzzed for the 20th time. Ava again. Against his better judgment, he opened the message. "I made a terrible mistake. I love you. Please come home so we can talk." Home? The word tasted like ash. He threw the phone across the room. For 3 days, he barely left the motel room. He called in sick. He ate from vending machines. He let the stubble on his face grow unchecked. His mind replayed every conversation, every video call, searching for clues he'd missed. Had she been with someone before some of their calls? After? During her bad connection nights? Had she actually been in someone else's arms? On the fourth day, he went back to the apartment while he knew she would be at work. He needed clothes, his laptop, some semblance of his life. The apartment felt like a crime scene. He avoided looking at the bed. As he packed a suitcase, something caught his eye: Ava's laptop, still open on her desk. A notification blinked on the screen. An email from someone named Marcus. "Last night was incredible. When can I see you again?" The timestamp, yesterday. She was still doing it. With numb fingers, he opened her email, then her messages, her social media accounts, all still logged in, all revealing pieces of the puzzle he'd never wanted to solve. Photos she'd sent to other men, conversations arranging meetups while he was gone. Lies she'd told him about where she was, who she was with, and worst of all, messages to her friends about him. Poor Ethan is so clueless. He actually thinks we're going to get married someday. He's convenient, stable, but so boring. Sometimes I mute our calls and watch Netflix while he talks about his day. The final blow came when he found a draft of a breakup text she'd apparently been working on before his surprise return. "Ethan, I've been thinking about us, and I don't see a future together. The distance made me realize we want different things." She'd been planning to end it all along. The betrayal hadn't just been physical, it had been total. Ethan moved through the following weeks like a ghost. He sublet a studio apartment. He returned to work. He declined to explain what happened to concerned colleagues. He deleted his social media accounts. Ava's messages grew increasingly desperate, then angry, then coldly manipulative. He blocked her number after the night she showed up at his workplace, screaming that he was overreacting, that everyone cheated, that he should be grateful she was still willing to take him back, as if she were doing him a favor. One rainy evening, so similar to the day he'd returned home, there was a knock at his door. Ava stood in the hallway, mascara streaking down her face. "5 minutes," she pleaded. "Just give me 5 minutes." Against his better judgment, he let her in. She launched into a well-rehearsed speech about mistakes and forgiveness, about how they could rebuild trust, about how she'd changed. Ethan watched her performance with detached fascination. 2 months ago, he would have done anything to hear these words. Now they sounded like lines from a bad play. "Are you finished?" he asked when she paused for breath. Her face fell. "Ethan, I'm trying here." "No, you're trying to ease your guilt. There's a difference." He moved toward the door, opening it. "I don't hate you, Ava. That would require energy I'm not willing to give you anymore." "So that's it? Years together, and you're just done?" "You were done long before I was." He held her gaze steadily. "You just didn't have the courage to say it to my face." Her expression hardened. "You'll regret this. You'll never find anyone who understands you like I do." Ethan smiled for the first time in weeks. "That's the thing, Ava. You never understood me at all. If you had, you'd know I could forgive a mistake, but I could never forgive a deliberate choice made over and over again." After she left, Ethan stood by the window, watching the rain wash the city clean. Something had shifted inside him, not healing exactly, not yet, but a clarity, a certainty that had been missing. He opened his laptop and began typing an email to his boss about the promotion in Seattle he'd previously declined. 3 months later, as he packed the last of his belongings for the move, he found an old photo of him and Ava tucked into a book. He looked at their smiling faces, her eyes already looking slightly past him. his arm wrapped trustingly around her waist. He didn't feel the stab of pain he'd expected. Instead, there was only a quiet acknowledgement of what had been and what could never be again. Ethan placed the photo back in the book and closed it. Some stories weren't meant to be revisited. Some betrayals served their purpose. They broke you open, showed you your own depths, and then set you free. Outside, the sky was clearing after a storm. He tucked the book into a donation box and stepped into the sunlight, alone but unbroken.
If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.